things.
Run, 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 run.
And we run all the way through to the last clip, and then the logo comes in at the end. And that was the final shot. So we are done. Now we are done 7:18. We still have about like an hour more to go. We've done a lot. And I hope it's not too confusing. Beautiful. I'm a happy man. Now, you could still go further. Like, you could still push this thing like a whole lot further. I would say we didn't even scratch the surface. But for a live campaign, the assets we've been able to generate today with the music and everything else sort of makes our lives a little easier. Combining the tools like Firefly and all its features to Higgsfield and the unique video features and the pre-existing presets and moving back into Photoshop. We didn't do the Photoshop part, but that's how we created the images, the graphic artworks. For that, I'll just leave it to your personal and subjective taste. You can figure that out. But then the entire process just taught me one thing, that the skill we have as creatives is shifting from being very tactile to being, I would say, theoretical. And I say theoretical in the sense that, back in the day, everybody was afraid of studying too much theory and not too much practical. So you skip the whole theory, you skip the history of art, you skip the philosophy, reading the poems and poetry. All of these individual skill sets is what today would make you a well-rounded creative. Having knowledge in film and video and music, having knowledge in drawing and sketching, even having knowledge in politics. Like, all of these things give you a well-rounded visual and verbal vocabulary. So when you're speaking to an LLM, you're able to communicate and direct it in a way that makes sense. I think the biggest skill anybody today can develop will be the skill of taste. And taste comes from experience, and it also comes from immersing yourself in a lot of life experiences. So if you're like me, who used to get stuck behind a computer all day long, I think now is the time to go out, meet people, watch weird movies, like go outside of your normal comfort zone. You'll be surprised where some of the ideas for these shots come from. For me, it's usually like anime. I see somebody punch somebody's teeth and the sky just splits into two. I'm like, whoa, that would be a cool shot. It's logged in somewhere. And the mind does something very interesting, especially mine, if I don't know about yours, but when I'm trying to recall something, right, this is what happens. I've seen image A and image B. My mind can't exactly recall image A, neither can it recall image B. But then it creates image C and convinces me it's either A or B. So now I have a unique image, which is like an amalgamation of image A and image B, creating a unique thing that's image C. And I think that happens for a lot of other people too, because the more things you look at, if you're trying to recall, your mind just mashes them together. And you end up creating some really cool thing that to you are so sure it looks like something you've seen, until you go and find a specific thing, you look at it side by side, and like, wait a minute, that's so different. And so that's what happens. So the more good things you look at, the better. And that's why I really get hurt when I see all the billboards in Accra with the AI images, and they look like, oh. But I have a feeling that since ChatGPT Image 2 came out, that's not going to happen anymore. So that's the end of the road. Now, does anybody have any questions, anything that was not clear, so we can run through them? If we can demonstrate them, we would, and then we can move from there. Any questions? Okay.
I have two questions. Can you kindly go over the character, creating a character again?
The dude.
Yes, the dude, and the consistency.
Okay.
That part. And then also, I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the prompt that started everything? You showed us a very long prompt you gave to Claude?
When
How
you say
did you-
everything, do you mean like the entire thing?
No,
or-
no, no. The brief. How you came up with the prompts for Claude to give you the brief? Did you also
this
generate that
brief?
one? Yes. Did
Yeah,
you?
this is from Claude.
This also.
Yeah, this brief.
Alright.
So this is my brief, right? It came from the multiple conversations that I've had with Claude about how I work. I have a really rigid system on how I create, like, work with brands. I just asked Claude to turn that into a brief that anyone else can use. And now I've copied and pasted it here to share. That's why it's called the VOM brand brief, because it's what I use for work. So I have created it out of this. So Claude would then go through all our past discussions and take away the key points and created this particular brief to share. Yeah. Come again? Yeah, I'm going to share. In fact, I'm going to share the link to this entire board. So you're going to see this entire board in Firefly. You can load the prompts, run it yourself, see exactly what it looks like. I'm also going to share this page as well. It's going to have way more prompts than this that I used. And then you guys can have access to that as well. So you're going to be able to go through all the prompts and then the language. I can share the entire discussion that I had with Claude. You have access to it and you just go through the entire thing and then you see how that looks like. But that's how it worked. And your other question was the character consistency. Right. So for the character, I first created the reference image. So I was looking for a character to create, and this is it. I need to find the original image I used and the original prompt. Okay, I think the one with the hand on the waist. It cannot be these two. Focus, focus, focus. Where is that one? Why is it so hard to look for? I should have neatly arranged my things. Right, this is the prompt for the character. So it says a Ghanaian man, late 20s to early 30s, athletic build. So you see for this one, there's no image reference. So I ran this one and I ended up getting a version from Gemini and some version from ChatGPT, and I tried out the two, see which one I liked. And I just picked, I think I used the ChatGPT, but I used all of it. So from here, I created a character sheet. So that's this one, where I said, no, this is a different version. I think I created a character sheet out of it, and that's what gave me these ones. For the character sheet, I may have created them here in character. Did I create them in Hicksfield? But it doesn't really matter where you create them, because the characters, like in Hicksfield or in Firefly, we are still pretty much using the same models. You're either using Nano Banana 2.0 or you're using Gemini. I think my generation should be here. I want to go through and see if I did a character here. This guy did not make the cuts. It was so weird. And there was a version where he was 2. And there was a version that had a watch on his wrist for some weird reason. Yeah. And this version, he looked too cool. I was like, nope, I'm not using this version. It's like, what's this sexy looking thing? And this was so freaky because it felt like it was staring at me, you know? Yeah. And this one, for some reason, had swans flying next to it, or I don't know whether it's a seagull, whatever it was. So those ones didn't make it. And right, okay, so I think I did the character here in Hicksfield instead. So I think this was the prompt. It was a hyper-realistic editorial portrait of an African man shown in that chat. I think, no, this already had the image in there as well. But then I did a character sheet from here. And that's how come we got the shoes and all of that. And then I sent the character sheets back into Claude. And this is the interesting thing that Claude did. I'm going to show you these ones right here. Let me look for them carefully. Okay, these are images. Oh, this is a whole different chat. Okay. Right, we're somewhere close. Okay, these are photos. Okay, these are videos. Okay, these are still photos. Texture, image one, image two, Ghanaian man. I'm looking for a very specific system that helps you create some type of consistency. I'm going to zoom out so I can see the whole thing properly. It's too close. Okay, we're getting there from, and again, like with everything I do, I still go back and give it back to Claude so that it can track where we are in the journey. Otherwise, it's gonna still think we are somewhere at the back. I'm looking for a specific area that is super important. Trotro scene. Oh, that's a lot of prompts, huh? Okay, got it. So you see, when it says subject, it does these parentheses and says character face, sleeping wardrobe, right? Cinematic grade. Now for the color grading, I picked it up from like other clips that I had seen elsewhere that I liked. So for instance, there's a set right here that has some really cool images that I sort of picked some of the color grading from. And then I put inside Claude to turn them into a color grade, like to describe it as a color grade. So it would generate these things. I'm looking for where they are. Now the way you use it is, if you get to the point that says character face, there's a prompt. That is the character face prompt. You copy and replace it. Sleep wardrobe, you copy and replace it. And there's a running wardrobe. I'm going to look for that entire line of prompt so you can see what that area looks like. Okay, so I think this is, okay, now this is still after we had done that. Let's go back. Okay, so these are the blocks, right? These are the blocks that we are going to keep using throughout. So the first block is the color grade block. And it says shot on 35mm film, Kodak Portra 400 film emulation, warm shadows, tinted brown, never blues and stuff. So whenever the prompt says color grade, I copy this, I paste it in. Now the character face, this is where you also get the image consistency. You need to add this and the image together to get the consistency. If you use just the image, it could change. But now we are describing the image. So I gave the image to Claude, and Claude gave a description of the face. And we add the face to the prompt. And now this is the running wardrobe. So black mesh panel, sleeveless running tank top, fitted black running short mid thin thigh length with side reflected details and all of that. Tan and black trail style running sneakers with an orange. That's why the sneaker also stays consistent. And now the sleeping wardrobe, bare-chested, athletic torso visible, only a thin silver chain. So all of these things are always going to stay here. Now, whenever I get a prompt, it would put subject, face, sleep wardrobe, cinematic grade. So when I come in and do copy, I come here, I would come this and just go like that. Now for the character face, I come back here, go to my reference, do character face, copy, come in here, and replace. Come back in here. Did I have a running wardrobe? Okay, I had a sleeping wardrobe. So sleep wardrobe, copy, done, in here, sleep wardrobe, there it is. Sleep wardrobe, and replace. And the final one was color grade, right? So color grade, copy, labs, all right, replace. And I'll come in here and pick the image that I would want it to be, which is the first frame of whatever shot that was. What shot was that actually? Oh, so that's the wake up shot. So that's the opening shot. So now I come back and find the image of him sleeping, which was this one, and I'll pick first frame and add it in as a first frame. And then I'll come here, I'll choose cling, VO3 is also pretty good. It just cost a lot. So I didn't use that. I just did version 3, made sure that I had 1080p, and I put it on around 12 seconds, added the audio because I wanted the sound effects, and then I would hit generate and just wait. So you run that across the entire script. Your character consistency is already baked in. Your wardrobe, both the sleep wardrobe and everything else is baked in. And now you have a consistent look across the board. Okay. I think we can take just one last question. Boti, right? Okay. Any more questions?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Joshua, so I saw you text prompt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my question to you is between voice prompting and text prompting, in your creative process, which do you prefer?
Voice and text.
Voice and text, which do you prefer and why? And in which instance are you going to use text? And in which instance are you going to use voice? I know because of this workshop, maybe you just had to do text because maybe voice, the AI models are going to hear you well. So I'm just curious.
Well, I think it really depends on how you express yourself. For me, there are two things. One is how I express myself, and the second is how expensive the model is, right? Because the more context you give the thing, the more it would read and chop your money. For me, I talk a lot. So if I try the voice thing, I end up describing a lot. By the time I hit enter, it's crazy. But I do use both, depending on what I want to do. For instance, if I'm trying to make music, I wouldn't type it. I would speak about what I want. Sometimes even make the sounds and the ad-libs, and then that becomes a prompt. But I do that only in Gemini. Gemini does not take away credits. I can just talk as much as I want. And to be frank, the voice mode in Claude is not so good. So I try to avoid it. The best voice model I've used that I loved was the ChatGPT. It was so good. But I mean, I no longer have my ChatGPT subscription. And I only really needed it for the video. So I'll do it here. And I needed it for the image generation. So I'll do that here. So those are the two things I would usually push through. If I have unlimited access to AI, I'll do voice. If not, I would do text. Because when you're writing, you are much more concise than you are when you are actually speaking. When you're speaking, you tend to just go on and on and on and on and on. And by the time you're done, your money is finished. And Claude will say, come back next week. You know? So that's how I sort of juggle the two. But I do think there's a lot of benefit from going voice, especially if you want to brainstorm an idea. So what I'll do is I'll pick the entire document from Claude, give it to Gemini, and I'll talk to Gemini about it. And when I get my feedback, I'll come back to Claude and say, this is what I have, this is what I'm thinking. But then those are the two options that I use. But I'm mainly a text person when I'm working. Okay. One last question.
So I want to know, share your experience. How much money? So I want to know how much it would cost for you to use the AI versus you going, the usual. I want to know what the difference would be like because, of course, you're paying for all these tools. So I want to understand what the cost looks like when you're comparing.
Okay. I mean, that's the most obvious question that everybody asks, because at the end of the day, you would look at how much you spend to make it. So for this context, I would say, how much would it cost me to make that video, right? How much would it cost me to have made the design? And how much would it cost me to create these photos? And how much did it cost me to create everything today? I did not run the numbers for everything, but I think so far, for this entire project, beginning to end, I may have spent between $150 to $200 to get everything that we have right now. Now, there are photographers here I want to ask one photographer how much they would charge to just do the photo shoot side of things. And then we'll do the video side of things. The reason why I'm saying that is when it comes to creating these things in person, it's always going to be way more expensive. Now, the decision will come down to the person who's going to make it. Because I bet you that if we divide $200 into 3 equal parts, let's say I spent $150, $50 for the image generation for the graphic design, $50 for the photography, and $50 for the video. I don't think anybody in Ghana would charge $50 to do that photographs. Because now you have to look at the models, you have to look at the location permits, you have to look at the editing at the end of the day and matching it to fit the brief. When it comes to the video, then that's it. You can't even compare. The FPV drone. Do you know how hard it will be to get a bullet time shot in real life? To time the spot where he hits the puddle and rotate the camera around to see the... Man, that's crazy. It's going to take a lot of work. So for the video side, it's a no-brainer. AI is always going to be the cheaper route. And I think that's what makes AI scary, because it's reducing the cost to almost like nothing. If I'm comparing the $200 to the entire cost this could have been, it's like 200 versus 200,000 Ghana cedis, right? Or probably even more, looking at how all of these. And to do it in such a short time, because I did all this yesterday, right? Like I think I started around, I was timing myself to see if I could actually do it in 3 hours. So I took some things out because this is why I ended in 3 hours. And there were other things that took me longer than that. And then I had to do the presentation and then sequence and all of that. If I have to get a team who can execute such a project in such a timeline, ooh, you need multiple people, multiple locations, a project manager making sure that everybody is on the phone, everybody's on set, everybody has eaten, everybody didn't oversleep. You know how many people oversleep on shoot today? Oh my goodness. So these are some of the little things that make it different. It is expensive because right now the most expensive part of AI is the exploration. It's not actually the work. If I had to do all of this again, I don't think I'll spend more than $50 because now I know exactly what I want. This, I was experimenting, seeing other models. Like every image you see here, I did it twice. I did a Gemini version and a ChatGPT version, more cost. I did C-Dance. I did Clink, more cost. I could just stick to one model, stick to one image generation model, and run everything that way to make things pretty easy. So it's going to be a hard bargain, but I'm on the side of the human, so don't worry. Okay, I don't think we can take any more. One last question. Oh, you were the guy who volunteered. Okay, we'll take your question. You try.
All right, thank you. My name is Benjamin Ashri.
Hi, Benjamin.
Yeah. So my question is, are we violating any user privacy or publicity rights in a case of, let's say, an image that I generated looks exactly like someone? And is there any plagiarism to, like an AI design plagiarism tool that we can leverage on to resolve all these things?
Well, to be fair, I don't think I've ever had a case where an AI-generated image looked exactly like somebody before. But that's one thing, like I said in the beginning, the commercially safe models, right? This gives you the chance to be sure that even if it does look like somebody, you generated it with an AI model that is commercially safe, so nobody can come after you. That's the difference between just using any model and using models that protect you. I mean, here in Ghana, we don't often get into issues of legal copyright infringement and things like that. But in other parts of the world, it's a really big deal. So making sure that the model you are using, depending on the project you're working on, some projects, it's very low stakes, but some projects are quite high stakes. So you're going to make sure that the models you're using are commercially safe. I don't think I've ever encountered a situation where a model looked exactly like somebody. If it did, it would be so cool. And I'll be wondering how that happened. A design. When you say design plagiarism too, are you talking in context of the layout was stolen or the icons was stolen?
a logo, and you mentioned that it looks similar like a brand that you've seen. So,
Yeah.
so I just want to confirm if there are any AI design plagiarism tools that you can just cross-check.
Well, the only one I know of is one from Google Labs. So Google has this thing they call Google Labs. It's an experimental AI engine where you see a lot of their AI models. They have this one in there that allows you to check if an image is AI, but it doesn't exactly tell you if it's a plagiarized image. It should be here somewhere. Wait. Yeah, that's it. So it sort of scans the audio, scans the video and everything to tell you if it's AI generated at all. But it doesn't actually say if it looks like something else. What I do is I would pick the image, upload it to Google, and Google will try and show me reference images that look like that. So sometimes I design a logo, I upload it to Google Images, and see if I see other logos that look like it. If they do, I'm like, okay, nope, new idea. So, but if there's a tool that can do that, that would be so cool. Maybe you can build some with Google AI Studios. And that's it. My time is up. Thank you guys so much. It's been fun. All right, now let's go make some friends. Oh yeah, the giveaway. Yes. I almost forgot about that, the most important part. It will be raffle.
Raffle.
Yeah.
How
So,
we do the raffle?
online.
You get so you go run out.
Why you get a CSV?
No.
Judith, where's Judith? Can I get a CSV file for all those who registered? We are going to ask Claude to build us a raffle generator.
Okay, so I think we are at the giveaway section where people